So let me just welcome all of you or welcome you back to Tikvah Through Text, the first session in 2025. And I'm really invited to welcome back a rabbi that we've learned from before, and that's Rabbi Malcolm Cohen. He is the rabbi of Kol Ami Synagogue in Tucson, Arizona. As a fellow Kol Ami rabbi, I feel an affinity with Rabbi Cohen. So I'm going to share my screen, and we'll say the blessing for study. And then I will turn things right over to Rabbi Malcolm Cohen. If you'd like, you can unmute during the blessing for study so that we can hear one another share together in this blessing. Please join me. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, eternal one, whose mitzvot make our lives holy, and who commands us to immerse ourselves, to engage ourselves in words of Torah. And with that, let me turn things right over to Rabbi Malcolm Cohen. Take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's great to be back here. I try and do a little bit of singing with the text, and it's like maybe this is totally pretentious, but I try to pair the text with music, just like you would a meal with a good wine. So I've no idea what the people in this Zoom room currently feel about whether it's a good idea to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. Okay, no idea what you think about that, but we're going to sing about it anyway. Just go with me because it is relevant to the text that we'll be studying. Near the end of the Shabbat song Sur Mishalot, there's this line here. Yibanei Hamikdash Ir Tzion Tamaleh. Let the sanctuary be rebuilt, the city of Jerusalem refilled. It goes like this, very simple to sing it. Yibanei Hamikdash Ir Tzion Tamaleh. Yibanei Hamikdash Ir Tzion Tamaleh. Try it with me. Yibanei Hamikdash Ir Tzion Temaleh, Yibaneh HaMikdash, Ir Tzion Temaleh. Okay, great. So I know it's brief, but I hope we're in the mood for rebuilding the temple. What that looks like, we'll get into it. So don't worry too much. Uh, particularly if you can see the potential conflict with the big old mosque on the Temple Mount right now. Okay, setting that aside. In terms of rebuilding Jerusalem, we're going to use this hopeful text involving Rabbi Akiva. We're taking it from the Babylonian Talmud, Tractate Makot, page 24, side B. This is right at the end of the tractate. You can see here, we join the action, really in the middle because any of these words that you see in bold are really a direct translation of the Talmud, and anything that you see in unbolded text, it's Rabbi Dean Steinsaltz's notes, helpful insertions. So it says the Gemara, the later part of the Talmud, relates another incident involving those sages. All right, so we've obviously joined the action in the middle. We're talking about most of the rabbis who actually appear in the story of the five rabbis in the Haggadah who are studying all night? Yeah, that might be recognizable to you. So Rabban Gamliel, Elazar ben Azariah, Rabbi Yehoshua, Rabbi Akiva. There's also Rabbi Tarfon in that Haggadah story. But these four rabbis, just before the text, we've been talking about the fact that after the destruction of the temple, they're walking near enough to one of the Roman cities that they can hear the clamor and the noise of the city. All right. And what does Rabbi Akiva do? In theory, there's this incredible Roman city, almost like a monument to a Jewish defeat, right? And so it would be a terrible thing to hear the noise of this city going on within earshot. Rabbi Akiva laughs. And the other rabbis look at him like he's crazy. Like, wait a minute, like we're laughing and we can hear this incredible Roman city giving out its noise, almost as an expression, rubbing in of our defeat. And Akiva says, well, yeah, listen, I'm paraphrasing, okay, from the Aramaic. Okay, listen, if there's all this sound of revelry and positivity which comes out of this Roman city, which is full of sinners, right? Then surely in this place in Jerusalem, which is full of God-fearing people, everything's going to be okay. All right. So that's the kind of mood which we join the our part of the text at. All right. We've had one Rabbi Akiva laughing in the ruins of Jerusalem story, and we're going to concentrate on a different one. So another incident involving these sages. On another occasion, they were ascending to Jerusalem after the destruction of the temple. Okay, this is where we are in the text. When they arrived at Mount Scopus and saw the site of the temple, they rent their garments in keeping with halachic practice. When they arrived at the Temple Mount, it gets worse, right? They saw a fox that emerged from the site of the Holy of Holies. All right. So they're walking through the ruins of Jerusalem and they get to the point where the Holy of Holies essentially once was, right? It's not there anymore, but they know roughly where it was configured. And a fox just runs through the ruins of the Holy of Holies. So maybe I'm asking for you to state the obvious, but why is this really bad? Either put this in the chat or unmute yourself and tell why is this like the worst possible thing that could happen? Fox is not kosher. Okay, right. Maybe the fox is the Messiah. Love it. A ginger from Indianapolis. Yes, Rachel, please unmute yourself and speak.
Well, there's a prophecy, right, about the mountain of Zion being destroyed and foxes running over it.
Okay, right. So, but so that's absolutely true, and we're gonna get to that. My question. So are you saying that this it's just a fulfillment of a prophecy, whether it's bad or good? It's just what was predicted. Is that what you're saying, Rachel?
Sure.
Oh, let's say again. Sorry. Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I was just trying to make sure I understood you. But yes, I appreciate you pointing out the prophecy. Now we had only the priest could enter the Holy of Holies. Thank you, Sarah and Ginger, saying this is a violation. Great. Susan, tell me something.
Sometimes a fox is just a fox.
Sometimes a fox is just a fox. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fox doesn't know necessarily unless it's like a really yeah. I
But
mean, I
if
guess we
he
do
was
say
trotting,
cunning
if
like
he
a
was
fox.
if he was trotting, he was doing the foxtrot.
Okay, great. But we don't know whether we should be ascribing awareness to the fox, right? So the fox is just going through the Holy of Holies, but the fox doesn't know it's the Holy of Holies, all right? So maybe it's not so bad. Okay, but let's continue with the text, all right? This is certainly is a stark scene for the rabbis, right? They began weeping, the rabbis, and Rabbi Akiva was laughing. They said to him, for what reason are you laughing? Rabbi Akiva said to them, for what reason are you weeping? They said to him, this is the place concerning which it is written, and the non-priest who approaches shall die. And now foxes walk in it, and shall we not weep? All right. So yes, we had the comment by Sarah in the chat that she knows this verse from the book of Numbers, right? If you're not a priest, and a fox, last time I looked, is not a Cohen, not a priest, then you're absolutely not allowed to be in the Holy of Holies, right? And it's a terrible thing that one of the something which is so obviously not the party that is allowed to go into the Holy of Holies is indeed in the Holy of Holies, right? Treating it like it's playground. Okay. Any other comments at this stage or questions before we move on? The rabbis are weeping, Rabbi Akiva is laughing, and the rabbis are trying to work out why, given that you should never see a fox in the Holy of Holies, why Rabbi Akiva is laughing. Although, of course, as we saw as in my description of the text just before this text, he has form where laughing in difficult situations is concerned. Okay, So Rabbi Akiva said to them, right, he's going to explain why he was weeping. Sorry, why he was laughing. This is why I'm laughing, as it's written, when God revealed the future to the prophet Isaiah, and I will take to me faithful witnesses to attest Uriah the priest and Zechariah the son of Yerechiah. Okay, so in Isaiah, oh, Mike, here we go. In Isaiah chapter 8, verse 2, it mentions Uriah and it mentions Zechariah in the same verse, right? So all that you need to understand is that Uriah and Zechariah are mentioned, okay, in the book of Isaiah in the same verse, in the same frame, right? Uriah as a prophet, not very much is known about him, but he was known as someone who prophesied around the time of the first temple, and Zechariah is known as a prophet who prophesied around about the time of the second temple. Okay. And by the way, Bob said in the chat, it reminds me of Abram chasing the birds away at the covenant of the pieces. Okay, interesting, right? Where animals kind of intersect or intrude, right, on a holy space or a holy moment. Great. All right. So Uriah and Zechariah are in the same verse. That's the important thing for Akiva's explanation of why he's laughing. So let's go on. All right. So rather, the verse establishment, that fulfillment of the prophecy of Zechariah is dependent on fulfillment of the prophecy of Uriah. All right. You need Uriah's prophecy to come true, and then Zechariah's prophecy will come true. Now, at this stage, we don't know the content of those prophecies. All right. So now we're going to go see what they are. So in the prophecy of Uriah, it is written, therefore, for your sake shall be plowed as a field, and Jerusalem shall become rubble, and the Temple Mount as the high places of a forest where foxes are found. Right? That's Uriah's prophecy. It takes place, you hear Uriah's prophecy in the book of Micah, but there's a rabbinic tradition that this particular pronouncement is by the prophet Uriah, even though it's in someone else's book. All right. So let me just repeat what it says. Just read it back. Therefore, Uriah's prophecy, for your sake Zion shall be plowed as a field, and Jerusalem shall become rubble, and the temple meant as the high places of a forest where foxes are found. Okay, where foxes are found. This is a quote from the book of Lamentations. Uriah's prophecy is saying Jerusalem will be destroyed. Okay, does everybody get that? That's all we need to understand right now. Uriah's prophecy is that Jerusalem will be destroyed. And Akiva explained, well, if Uriah's prophecy will come true, then Zechariah's prophecy will also come true. So let's see. All right, here we go. In the prophecy of Zechariah, it is written, there shall yet be elderly men and elderly women sitting in the streets of Jerusalem. Okay, so Uriah's prophecy in the book of Micah, Jerusalem will be destroyed. Zechariah's prophecy in his own book, Jerusalem will be rebuilt and refilled. So until, Akiva says, the prophecy of Uriah with regard to the destruction of the city was fulfilled, I was afraid that the prophecy of Zechariah would not be fulfilled, as the two prophecies are linked, as they were in the book of Isaiah. Now that Uriah has been fulfilled, Zechariah remains valid, right? Now that we know for sure the prophecy of Uriah has come to pass, Jerusalem destroyed, we know that there's still potential for Zechariah's prophecy to come to pass, namely that Jerusalem will be rebuilt and refilled. The sages said to him, employing this formulation, Akiva, right? Nichamtano, you've comforted us, Akiva. You have comforted us. Okay. Sarah says, isn't everything God? Hence the fox is another iteration of citing of God. I appreciate it, right? You know, you're saying we're making an unhelpful distinction between when we say that the fox is problematic or unholy, right? Or a desecrating force in some way, right? When if we look a little bit below the surface, away from the divisions, you know, there is the unity of the cosmos. I appreciate that. All right, but back to Akiva's comment. Remember, he's saying Uriah and Zechariah fall in the same verse in Isaiah. They're mentioned in the same vein. Okay, he says, if one of their prophecies comes true, the other one will come true. Uriah's prophecy was about the destruction of Jerusalem, and therefore Zechariah's prophecy about a hopeful rebuilding and refitting of Jerusalem, that's going to come true, right? If one's true, the other's true. All right, then Akiva's colleagues say to him, wow, That's great. You comforted us. All right. So imagine, right, we are also Akiva's colleagues wandering through the ruins of Jerusalem. And Akiva has made this teaching to us. Are we buying it? What is our response, right? Set aside the response of Rabban Gamliel, Yehoshua, Elazar ben Azariah, all right? Don't worry about those guys, right? Do you like what Akiva says to you? Does it comfort you? Okay, Susan.
Well, no.
Okay, great. Tell me why.
Because my understanding of Hebrew prophecy, as Jews interpret Hebrew prophecy, is that it does not, it is not prophesying something for the future. That prophets are commenting on something that they are observing in the time in which they are prophesying, and that they may be speaking in metaphor, and we as modern scholars or students can unpack the metaphor. Were I one of Rabbi Akiva's colleagues, I would probably be comforted. Yes, I would, if I were in that time.
Got it. But, so I appreciate the distinction you're making. If I was his peer, right, then I could be comforted, right, with the benefit of distance and hindsight, right? Maybe I would look at it a bit more carefully. Okay, Rabbi Streifer.
Yeah, I appreciate, well, I'll put it this way. I appreciate with trepidation the idea that there's hope to be found in destruction. And I think what I see Rabbi Akiva saying is something like, you can't have the rebuilding without the destruction. You can't have the growth without the suffering. You can't have the post-traumatic, growth without the trauma that impels it. So does that mean I want the trauma? No. But in some ways we don't grow, we don't become better, we can't have rebuilding without challenge and destruction and suffering. So I like I say, I appreciate it with trepidation because I don't think anybody wants the suffering. And yet you don't get to sidestep it, right? We live in a world where there is suffering. So the best we can do is actually to grow from it.
Got it. Okay, that's fantastic. And we have also some comments in the chat. Bob says, I like it. We surely need some of that hope right now. Sarah says, prophets say things that may or may not come true. The writers of our Torah have deliberately chosen some prophecies. On the other hand, we all want something, hopeful to believe in. Great. And Bob said the other animal at that site had been the sacrificial ram. Okay, right. Yeah, I appreciate you bringing the rest of the menagerie into the conversation. Does anybody else want to say anything about Rabbi Akiva and his supposed, because that's how his colleagues describe them, words of comfort? Yes, Alfred.
It makes me appreciate somebody who can laugh in the midst, even though there's devastation, and also find joy. And it makes me think of the movie Life is Beautiful about the father and the son. And
right, yes.
There you go.
Yeah, no, for those of you who don't know, La Vita è Bella, Life is Beautiful, right? There's this incredible story of a man who basically shields his son from the destruction of the Holocaust going on around him with humor as a way of distracting him from the horror. Yes, Ginger?
Part of the problem is, when you're laughing, a lot of times people don't take you seriously.
Oh, say one more time. I didn't quite get that.
Yeah, sometimes when you're laughing, people don't take you seriously.
Okay, sometimes you laugh, people don't take you seriously. And the very last thing you said, I also missed. Say one more time.
I'm saying, sometimes people, when you're laughing, people don't take you seriously. I'll put it in the chat. I'll put it in the chat.
I know, I
Put it in the
totally got
chat.
that, Ginger. Sometimes when people are laughing, they don't, then other people don't take them seriously. Yes, absolutely. I did hear that. Thank you. Sorry for my terrible hearing. Yes, Susan.
Well, I would say from personal experience of orthopedic devastation upon devastation upon devastation, that had I not retained a sense of humor, I would not have survived. And I
Right.
remember Rabbi Lachheim coming over one time after foot horror, and he said, "But you're always so cheerful when I come." And I said, "Well, that's because you're here." But there is
Okay.
something about not being surrounded completely by the black cloud, because it will overtake you, and you have to be able to, if not laugh, at least see some light. And maybe
Got it.
his laughter was sort of in contrast to, look, guys, it looks so terrible and bleak, but maybe, just maybe, there's hope.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I just wanted to add. Oh yeah, please, Ginger. Are we? You got your hand up. Is that something else? Tell me.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. No,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, no worries. So yeah, gallows humor, Lauren says, is a way to get through the confusion. I think that is the laugh. Great. And I want to add something of my own. I don't know if I like what Rabbi Akiva says. Okay. There's a lot of wonderful teachings you can make based on what is there in the biblical text. I'm not sure I buy it. What I really love is the intent, right? He's trying to make meaning, and this is the wonderful thing that humans do, right? We don't want a trauma, right? We don't want the terrible thing to happen to start with, okay? But we have this incredible ability to make meaning in difficult times, right? Now, the way that he's making meaning, it might not actually be the thing that you connect with, but the intention to do it is beautiful, right? My wife's a therapist who's very much an adherent of Viktor Frankl, right? His book Man's Search for Meaning, whereby, in the concentration camps, he would greet people off the trains, try and explain to them something of what was going to happen as part of their experience there, and then work with them. Maybe they didn't think of it as formal therapy, on seeing some kind of hope or meaning in that situation. Now, it takes a lot of work, but human beings do actually have that ability. And so I very much appreciate Rabbi Akiva's efforts to do that for his colleagues. And I think all of us, we might not be Rabbi Akiva, but we're more than capable of doing that in our difficult situation. Bob says, this is so Talmudic to link two prophets mentioned in one sentence to the linkage of their prophecies. Yes. Laugh as, Ginger, I don't think I know what that word is. Is it a real word, or is it just badly typed? Rachel was saying, thinking about the Mishnah and Pirkei, you shouldn't offer comfort to someone while they're dead or in front of them, right? Is this a form of nichum avelim, right? Comforting the mourners. Okay. Yeah, I really, really appreciate that. Yes. Now, again, I don't know what you feel about the actual rebuilding, right? Nervousness. Okay. Thank you, Ginger. I don't know what you feel about the actual rebuilding of the temple, right? You might want to take or leave that. But nevertheless, when we sing the words Yibanei Hamikdash, it's Sion Tamaleh, let the sanctuary be rebuilt, the city of Jerusalem refilled, right? If you're not one of the adherents of the third temple, I still want you to sing with me, just as a general expression of hope for whatever you're going through right now. If Akiva can have this sentiment, then so can we. As follows. Yibanei Hamikdash, Irtzion Temaleh. Yibanei Hamikdash, Irtzion Temaleh. Yibanei Hamikdash, Irtzion Temaleh. Yibanei Hamikdash, Irtzion Temaleh. Lindsay, thank you as well for saying Frankel's statement, which always being able to choose your response to any situation comes to mind. Akiva's choosing hopefulness and joy. Lindsay, that's exactly what I was thinking of in terms of the response to the situation. So thank you so much. Back over to you, Rabbi Streifer.
Thank you for this. And I'll just add that I think choosing hopefulness can lead to joy, and choosing joy can lead us to then want to make a difference and want to make the world into what we hope it can be. So I thank Rabbi Malcolm Cohen for this beautiful teaching. Next week, we study with Rabbi Lauren Tuckman, a wonderful teacher. So please do join us. Now that the holidays are done, we're back every week here, same time, same place. Thursdays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. You choose your time. Our thoughts are also with those who are going through the challenges of the fires in Southern California. And I know several of you are here, so please stay safe. Please stay well, and we will all hope for a better week ahead. Thanks again to Rabbi Malcolm Cohen. Looking forward to seeing all of you again next week. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.